first launch of the book. The Johannesburg launch will take place in September. But it seemed right for all sorts of reasons. Because the conversation started with Anne and Wendy. It then moved to Tasha. I then found out that the family had bought a farm, and I just thought, darling, this is it. You know, it makes all the sense in the world. So here we are. I'm very sorry that Eleanor Sisulu isn't here. She wrote the original biography of Walter and Albertina, but she did phone earlier on to say she sends her very good wishes and she's here in spirit. Tasha came to me as an illustrator via Anne. I told Anne about the project early on. I was looking for an illustrator. Tasha was suggested. It was at the little shop that was next to the Flying Pig, I think it was called, which is where I met Tasha. And Tasha will tell you a little more about the process, which was not an easy one. The reason we needed a really good illustrator is because there were no photographs of Albertina Sisulu when she was a little girl. The first photograph was on her wedding day. There was absolutely nothing. So we had to recreate an environment for Albertina as a young person. And the way we did that was I didn't make the decision, and I didn't make the choice, is to get members of the family to identify a grandchild who look most like Albertina. And that's how Tasha did all the illustrations, and they went backwards and forwards, and in fact this book has taken 3.5 years. So it hasn't been an easy process.
It came as a complete surprise because I was literally walking out of the Flying Pig, and Dushanka and Anne and Wendy were sitting and they were having lunch, and as you mentioned about talking about the project, and I was like, hi Dushanka, lovely to meet you, and Anne's like, she's looking for an illustrator. I was like, sweet, okay, if you need me, I'll be available. And I thought, okay, yeah, that'll be great, because I was working on some other projects at the time, and it was a phone call after that, and the journey began. But I would like to say that the journey actually began many years before that, when I met Anne and Wendy, if I might digress. The inspiration that I received from them, just as my aunties, because I adopted them as my aunties. My uncle and my aunt are here as well, but not always get to see them, so they did stand in for you for just a little bit. And just always encouraging me, working on other projects that I'd had to work on, working late at night, and suggesting other publishers to me. But by far, this is the best publisher that I have worked with, and I'm not just saying that, Dushanka.
Your check's in the post, Tasha.
To have been working on something this important and this momentous, and knowing that Sindiwe, I was working alongside Sindiwe as well, even though I had met her at the Voorkamer Fest, but not actually under the auspices of this book, which was, I knew there would come a time where we would get together, and that being this day. But just knowing that we were sort of these secret allies. And with Dushanka as well, constantly on the phone, the most patient editor and publisher, I must say, because yes, it was quite a process in working off the photographs, like Dushanka mentioned, but also a journey of finding out about this incredible woman and her life and her history and her children and the grand, having all of those photographs to be referring to and reading just automatically. It was just, so it took me a bit longer because I was reading up a lot, and just to be able to
it had to be right.
Familiarize myself with the family and wanting to do it all the justice that it deserved. An incredible help, just goosebumps. To be part of this process, and so very grateful to both my aunties, Dushanka and Sindiwe, for allowing me to be part of it.
Well, if it weren't for the aunties, you wouldn't.
Exactly.
Sindiwe.
Yes, ma'am.
Give me that.
No, I asked for it. Yeah.
Okay. Right, Sindiwe.
Yes.
Tell everybody here, how did you become involved in the project?
See? This is the original. This is the abridged version. And one ma'am, am responsible for doing something the couple could never achieve in their lifetime. I divorced them. See, the book is the two people's lives together. Now you have her life alone. Well, it is still somewhere along the line mixed up with Walter's life. She couldn't, she couldn't escape that. But there will be later on another one, right? On Walter Sisulu.
Yeah.
Not because I don't absolutely adore the fact of the love story in this. Really, it's thank you. It's a love story that for me holds up everything I ever believed as a little girl, as a young woman, up to now, as the ideal, absolute ideal of what two people who come together, understand and agree they are going to do this should
We've got
do.
a Sisulu here.
Hi, how are you? Now we need to find you a chair.
Right in the front.
Ah, there we go.
Especially kept for you.
Okay, this is Zodwa Sisulu. She is, can I explain who you are? Zodwa is the widow of Zwelaki Sisulu, who was one of the children of Albertina and Walter Sisulu.
Okay.
And also is a Darling resident.
Sorry,
I'm glad she missed that part I just mentioned, what I succeeded in doing. And so, to cut a long story short, I knew about the Sisulus long before I met Eleanor, who wrote this. Eleanor is the daughter-in-law, wife to Max Sisulu.
Yeah.
But when I read this to do this, I had gone through this, but as you can see, I'm a small person, and this is a very big one. So I kind of read it, if you know what I mean. Now I had to really, really read it. And the discovery I made, and when you read about people who are in the limelight, who are in the front pages of, you have no idea who they are and where they come from. When I read about 8, was she 14, something like 12, she was not yet a teenager, brought up by a very sickly mother, and she's the second child. There ends up being 5, right? Second child, but the eldest daughter. I relate to that. I'm the second child and eldest daughter, and I know who does all the work. Not the eldest person who is not female. But this mother who is ailing has a perfect relationship with her husband. There's great love there. But because she's so sickly, her own mother in a neighboring, in another village, helps her to raise. Most of the time she is with her parents, and the husband, father to Albertina, spends half the year on his farm in the Eastern Cape and half the year in Johannesburg, earning money so he can do both things. Well, one day, and then the mother, Albertina's mother, falls pregnant with and she is so unwell during this pregnancy. Her husband says, never again. I'm so sorry this happened. They're married. They are in love. But seeing what the pregnancy puts the wife through, he's sorry. Then it's time for him to go back to the mines. He does what he's done before, sends her back to her birth home, and sends the children, the 2 children, can count 1, 2, then there are 2, yeah, she's pregnant with the 5th. The 3 children, with the mother, and sends half, he's not poor, half his livestock with them so that there can be milk and amasi and other things and meat while he's away for 6 months. They are hardly there a week. He's getting ready to go. The firstborn child, who is 16 by this time or thereabouts, looks after the farm when he's away. Well, they hardly get there. Come back, come back. He's dying. The father who wasn't ailing, the healthy one, they rush back. There are adventures along the way, a storm and others. But when they get back there, to cut a long story short, this man really is dying. There are all these other children, 16-year-old boy, 12-year-old Albertina, 2 younger brothers. The dying man looks at the girl and says, please look after your younger siblings for me. There is the older booty here. And tradition says he should be talking to him. He looks at Albertina. I know you. Diakwazi, you can do it. She then becomes not just father to the younger children, but remember the mother is almost not there. She becomes parents to these 2 children, to the younger 2, and the one who's born after that. She carries this until and she goes through, and then talk about tradition. Guess what happens after the man is buried? Brother for the father come and take everything. It's tradition. Do you wonder Albertina was a feminist? She knows what tradition means to women. When I talked to Elinor about 5 minutes ago, before I was dragged in here kicking and screaming, one of the things she said when I asked her, is there one thing you think we should always remember? She said, Mama would have been so happy about this project because it's a women's project. Everybody who had anything to do with this book.
We were all women. I didn't.
I'm not saying men shouldn't buy the book.
For the women.
For the women in their lives. But honestly, what Dushanka said earlier, I mean, we thought we might have, if we were lucky, 20 people here. I am moving to Dali. If you can find a scrap of land that costs less than 5 rand. Thank you. And thank you to my friends. When I came here, four fest, something like that. Four Kamerfest. Ek probeer my Afrikaans verbeter. So that's another reason I should come to Dali.
Good enough.
I stayed with a family, and they're both here. No, where's your husband? You divorced him so quickly. Pierre and Minky. We've stayed almost in touch, but most of the time it's because I'm slech. So we would have stayed more in touch if I was not what I am. And Sylvia, is it Sylvia?
Yeah.
On who over there, where I did the, when I went to.
Yeah, Darling East.
That's a funny name. That can't stay. Anyway, that was in her house. I remember what fun I had in the house. I didn't remember a woman's name. I didn't remember a woman's face. We must keep in touch. Give me your phone number right now. But this has been a joy for me, and I learned more about human resilience and how we, as parents, as people of child, when we become parents, how we should really be so careful what it is we pass on to the next generation. Yes. This woman was who she was, mainly because of the love that surrounded her as a child. Of all, no, I shouldn't say that. Most of the people were on Robben Island and in other jails and blah, blah, blah. Didn't have the kind of security in their marriage that Walter had. You know, when he was going home, when a day or two or three, you can correct me, Zolo, when news hit Albertina that the husband was coming home, she was in Cape Town. And people like Cyril, Cyril Ramaphosa, or somebody else said, let's change the flight arrangements so we can all fly. No, says Albertina, I must get home.
Before
he
comes,
must find me where he left me. Oh my God. Traditionally, Isilili, you know, the hearth.
Yeah.
The wife is the hearth of the home. Walter left a wife and a home. Albertina had no romantic notions of flying with Walter and cuddling on the... No! He must find me where he left me, at home. She was the center of that life. And he came back. Never mind, read the book.